interesting how interconnected in new and different ways this trade war is now becoming. Let's discuss this. Joining us right now is Republican strategist Malik Abdul and CNN political commentator Paul Begala. Gentlemen, it's good to see you. Let's start on this, and then you know exactly where we have to go. The saga that only Washington cannot give up for sure. Paul, you've got this trade agreement with Japan. Trump calls it massive. Japan seems happy about it. Markets are floating near record highs despite all of this tariff uncertainty. Yes, GM says it's taking a hit. Yes, U.S. automakers seem to not be happy. But is Trump's approach to trade becoming a political win that Democrats didn't expect?
No way. It is not a political win to raise taxes on the middle class, to hurt the American auto industry, to help the Japanese auto industry. 15% tax on any Toyota Camry you want to buy. 15%. That's not, no middle class American wants to do that. Meanwhile, Mr. Trump has just signed the biggest tax cut in history for the rich. So tax cuts for the rich, tax increases for the middle class. Democrats can run on that.
It is interesting. I mean, Malik, how do Republicans respond to that? Because what Paul is saying in terms of the tariff rates and the fact that this trade war even began, it was only started by Donald Trump.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I think Republicans should respond to it based on the facts. And if you look at the facts of what's happening here and what happened earlier on, there was a lot of consternation, a lot of noise being created around tariffs because it's something that our presidents of the United States haven't had as far as their economic agenda. Donald Trump has, and all of the gloom and doom that was predicted as far as the tariffs are concerned, they have not been realized. So I think that you've seen what the markets are saying. You know, you have the great numbers that you just were talking about here. Until people actually feel the impact of whatever this gloom and doom scenario is, that's when it'll probably hurt Donald Trump. But at this point, Donald Trump's tariff policy seems to be working. And I think it's very difficult for Democrats to actually give him credit for that. Talk about what the facts are, and the facts are it's working.
The pain hasn't been, you said the pain hasn't been realized yet. And the timing of when that's really going to start hitting consumers could be a real problem depending on what it is and how close you get to a midterm election. Paul, the president's take now on the ongoing Epstein saga is it's sort of a witch hunt, is what he said yesterday. And then the president, the way I kind of talked about it this morning, is like took it, distract and deflect to a new level. And then he turned to accusing President Obama of treason. Let me play this.
The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold. After what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people.
So this prompted a rare statement coming from Obama's office, actually, saying these bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction. You see this, and you see what, Paul?
Yeah, it's a pathetic attempt at distraction. Donald Trump took over after Barack Obama. If he walked in the door and thought Barack Obama had committed treason, he had 4 years to investigate, prosecute. By the way, this was investigated by the Republican-controlled at the time Senate Intelligence Committee. They reported this. I'm quoting their report. Putin and the Russian government demonstrated a preference for candidate Trump. Putin approved and directed interference in the 2016 election. That's the Republican-controlled Senate Intelligence Committee. The number 2 Republican on that committee at the time, Marco Rubio. So, you know,
Paul, you're
Mr.
almost
Trump,
giving the accusation too much time because it's truly just a distraction.
No, that's a very good point. It is, because here's the thing. When you go to Austin, the greatest university in the world, UT Austin, over the main building, the main door, the main building in the tower, it's etched in stone these words: "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." That's from John chapter 8, verse 32. It seems to me Mr. Trump is going to etch over his presidential library one day, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall scare the poop out of you." This guy is panic-stricken about this Epstein stuff. He can't handle the truth.
I can't handle you. That is definitely confirmed. The fact that Malik kept a straight face is truly impressive. Truly impressive, Malik. On this, though, the president wants to turn the page, Malik. The Republicans in Congress, they are not letting him. They refuse. There is a development every day to show another example of how Republicans are not ready to move on. They want more information. And the problem is, at its core, the administration's handling of questions and calls for more transparency to this point. Mike Johnson sent the House home a day early for August recess because essentially he told Republicans behind closed doors he needed to give the White House time to deal with the Epstein issue. But you've got lawmakers like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Eric Burlison who are saying that their offices are being flooded with calls. Would you put money on this is going to go away by September, Malik?
I'm not sure if it will actually go away by September, but I think that Mike Johnson is doing exactly what he needs to do, and he's following a lot of what the president wants here. But the president does want to move on, and part of the problem that the president has is that, yes, he's calling people treasonous and all of these things. This is something that the president has done, I think, probably going back to 2018. But the real problem here is that for Republicans, many people like me, we watched what the media did when it came to the Russia collusion narrative, and then it wasn't just Russia was interfering in the election. There were accusations that Donald Trump colluded with Russia to actually steal the 2016 election, and that simply was not true. So for all of the interest that Democrats now have with the Epstein files, they didn't do it when Donald Trump's first term. They didn't do it in Joe Biden's term. And so now everyone is concerned about the Epstein files based on what seems to be a birthday note to Donald Trump that was supposedly written 2 months before Vanity Fair ran a profile of Jeffrey Epstein titled The Talented Mr. Epstein. Why is it that no one is interested in talking about who was connected to Epstein during that time? And it was Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey mentioned in that article as the people who were flying around on Epstein's plane. There is no such of interest from the media on that. So that's why Donald Trump is pushing back. And many Republicans, 10 or maybe 11.
There is 100% media attention on all of it. I think you must agree at this point, considering how much attention official Washington is putting into this. You have the Justice Department now reaching out to Ghislaine Maxwell, asking her to come up with a deal. You have members of Congress saying there need to be congressional hearings. Some even saying the Attorney General of the United States needs to come testify. This isn't definitely not a media fabrication for sure. And I would probably offer, at least for today, it's definitely not going away. Malik Abdul, Paul Begala, gentlemen, thank you.